April 1st, but don't be fooled. Do not consider staying home if you're a Wisconsin voter. You got to fight for your country like you did on November 5th. Remember how great it felt? You went and you voted and you got the outcome that you prayed for? Now you got to do it all over again. And I remember fighting for Georgia. And we got stuck with Ossoff and Warnock because people didn't vote. Republicans stayed home. And I don't want to beat you up, Georgia, but you happy with those guys? Look, Trump got a mandate to take this country in a different direction. He could lose his ability to take this country in a different direction if Wisconsin voters don't elect Brad Schimmel on the Supreme Court. The angry left is pouring tons of money into this race to get her over the finish line so that she can change the makeup of the House of Representatives. This election has huge national implications. Hakeem Jeffries promised it. He said the quiet part out loud. I want you to hear a report out of Florida. I had a rare moment of a fit of pique with my pal Mark Davis, who this morning said, I'm pretty confident about Florida. I think we're okay there. You can't take that tone. We got to fight. We got to fight. We got to fight. You got to vote. We got to save this country. And if you stay home, you can't listen to people who say, it's all probably, Trump took that district by 30. We're all right there. It's okay. People in Wisconsin are tired of the lunacy, even in Wisconsin. No, you got to show up. You got to take an hour out of your life and do your constitutional duty. Here's a report from WKMG. This is News 6 in Orlando. And I want you to hear this report and realize that you cannot take Florida District 6 for granted. You cannot take District 1 for granted. You got to fight for Wisconsin and the Supreme Court. You got to show up. The heavy lifting is now. And the answer is at our fingertips if we will only exercise the right to vote.
This local race is also in the national spotlight because Randy Fine is endorsed by President Trump. I spoke with both candidates who both believe they'll win.
Josh Wheel and his liberal Washington backers want open borders and higher taxes.
Have you seen this political ad for U.S. House candidate Republican Randy Fine?
Randy Fine, unhinged, un-American.
How about this one for his challenger, Democrat Josh Wheel? The special election race for U.S. House seat in District 6 is heating up. It was left vacant by Mike Waltz, who is now President Trump's national security advisor. It's a large, heavy Republican stronghold that covers parts of Volusia, Flagler, St. John's, Merriam, Putnam, and Lake counties. President Trump won here by 30 points, and he's endorsed Randy Fine.
I've been honored to see him several times already since he became president. He gave me a challenge coin. It's actually not fair to call it a challenge coin because it's the size of like a dessert plate, but to honor me for the big win that we had in our primary with 83%. And I appreciate his support as I get ready for my election on April 1st.
But challenger Josh Wheel thinks Fine having President Trump's endorsement will actually work against him.
When we flip this seat and we take it back, and the only thing my opponent ran on was Donald Trump's endorsement, every single Republican legislator in this country is going to have to start being accountable to their constituents and representing them with fidelity in Congress.
We went out to Lake County to hear what voters think about Fine.
He's a Republican and Trump's backed him. That's the main reason.
He's honest. He's not corrupt, and he'll do a good job.
So you're voting for Randy Fine?
Absolutely.
Republicans just seem to make the country do better. And like all the prices and everything just seems to be better.
And Wheel.
He wants to protect Social Security, protect the environment, public school system.
Randy Fine is way too conservative for my tastes. That's all I'm going to say.
I know there's some people in this county that would disagree with this, but the Republican Party has failed, especially the senior citizens.
The race is far from over. You can expect to see more TV ads up until Election Day on April 1st.
Well, Election Day is here. Election Day has arrived. And with Florida, do not say, well, we're safe. And Wisconsin, my gosh, I know you got a mountain to climb in Wisconsin, but we had a mountain to climb on November the 5th. We had a mountain to climb in November of 2016. You know, we can win this if you show up. If you stay home, we're going to lose, and the country loses. And the Democrats don't quite get it. There's an interesting dynamic at play here about voter turnout. I want to share with you what Senator Chris Coons from Delaware said about why the Democrats lost in November. This really intrigues me because I want to share with you an editorial in the New York Times suggesting that Chris Coons doesn't get it. Democrats like him don't understand it. And when you've lost the New York Times, that's really saying something. Listen to Chris Coons on CNN.
So I think the reason we lost principally had to do with millions of folks choosing not to vote. We lost to the couch more than we lost to Donald Trump. And if we focus on the issues that those folks care about and that we haven't talked enough about or fought for them hard enough on, I think we win.
Okay, I want to share with you what the New York Times editorial said over the weekend. It's fascinating. Let's dive in today. Special election on the table today. Wisconsin Supreme Court. Voter ID on the ballot in Wisconsin. Come on, Wisconsin. You got to come through for us. The country's at stake. 800-655-MIKE. Happy April Fool's Day. No pranks here. April 1st, 2025. We are in the Relief Factor studios for another day. Strapping on the armor and going to work. What do you think? 800-655-6453. You'll want to hear this New York Times editorial. Very important stuff. What's at stake here? We'll share it with you coming up. From the Wall Street Journal saying when you've lost the New York Times, and the Wall Street Journal says it was a pleasant surprise to read a weekend editorial in the New York Times, of all places, suggesting the Democrats take a step back from the progressive ledge. The New York Times, according to the Wall Street Journal, is now urging Democrats to reconsider a number of the destructive ideas that party leaders embraced after reading about them in the New York Times. James Freeman of the Wall Street Journal says, let's be optimistic and call this a great start if the newspaper wants to embark on an era of reform. I'm not sure I want them to reform. You know what I mean? Let them be crazy. Let stay out there in Crazyville. And you may never win another election. Let's face it, the Wall Street Journal says it's a pleasant surprise. I mean, let me quote for you what the Wall Street Journal says, what James Freeman says. America is not well served when one of its two major political parties embraces both misery-inducing Sandinista socialism and the race and gender obsessions of the radical left. Sadly, by the end of last week, it seemed that the kooks were once again winning the day in the debate over the party's future. But what a difference a day makes. Along comes the New York Times. And the headline in the Times is, the Democrats are in denial about 2024. Party leaders claim that most Americans still prefer Democrats, but that voter apathy allowed Trump to win. That's the Chris Coons quote that you heard just now on CNN. According to his logic, Democrats don't need to worry about winning back Trump voters and should instead try to animate the country's natural liberal majority. Tim Walz said, I don't think we're going to win over those 77 million that voted for Trump. I'm concerned with the 90 million who stayed home. It was an unfortunate echo of Hillary saying that millions of Trump voters were deplorables and irredeemable. The Journal says Tim Walz's odd analysis reflects deep confusion about the millions who stayed home. The New York Times editorial board punctures that delusion, writing non-voters appear to have favored Mr. Trump by an even wider margin than voters. Nate Cohn, the Times chief political analyst, reported, and David Shore, the bracingly honest Democrat data scientist, put it well. We're now at a point where the more people vote, the better Republicans do. The more people vote, the better the GOP does. The Times editorial board then gives Democrats some advice on how to regain voters' trust. And most strikingly, says the New York Times, Democrats need to recognize that the party moved too far left on social issues after Obama left office in 2017. Even today, the party remains too focused on personal identity rather than shared values. Even on economics, the New York Times editorial suggests an open mind on ideas that don't involve central planning. The people at the Times wrote, where is the governor who does more than talk about an abundance agenda and actually cuts regulations to help America build? New ideas should come from both the party's progressives and its centrists. The Wall Street Journal concludes by saying, whoever the weekend editors are at the Times opinion section, let's hope they get a promotion. Now, again, I'm back to, I don't know if I want this to happen. If the Democrats figure this out and become more reasonable and moderate, and see, my fear is they will do so in order to try to win elections, and then once they get in power, they're going to go back to their same old tricks. I mean, let's face it, you trust today's Democrat? There aren't a lot of reasonable, moderate Democrats left. John Fetterman is one of them. He just recently canceled his town hall meeting. He didn't want to have a town hall meeting. The Democrats in Pennsylvania are livid at his reasonableness, at his relative moderate stances. So I don't think that there's any coming back for them. Let me turn it over to you and see what you think. 800-655-MIKE. 800-655-6453. And again, I'm going to remind you all day long, Wisconsin. In fact, let me hear from Wisconsin and Florida voters. I want to hear from people in Florida District 6. I want to hear from people in District 1. I want to hear from Wisconsin members of our audience. Call me, tell me, are you voting today? Are you encouraging others to vote? Do you know how crucial these elections are today? It's all on the line. Please do your part. 800, give me a call if you're out voting. If you can give me a lay of the land. Be our reporter on the spot here. Be our Roger P. Schulman, our newsman, by calling in at 1-800-655-MIKE, 800-655-6453. Janet's in Indianapolis. Hi, Janet. Welcome aboard.
Hi, I just turned on your program, so I don't know if anybody else has said this, but I can't understand why people that went and fought and bled for us to have the right to vote can't get off their couch and go vote and be a considerate person that loves their country and does something to fight for it. We have to fight to keep the good people in and get them in.
It's the eternal mystery. I swear for the rest of my life, I'm going to wonder how people can bellyache and gripe and moan about the other party and the craziness, and they don't vote. The turnout, I mean, Janet, even the turnout in 2024, I mean, in the general election, too many people stay home, and I don't get it, Janet. Are people that lazy? Are people that detached? Do they not care?
Well, we can't take this country for granted. We're so blessed to live here, but we have to fight to keep it the way it needs to be without the evil taking dominance. We have to get off our blessed assurance and go do our due duty.
I love it. I love it. I love it. Janet, I'm going to hold you up as one of my favorite callers of the day. You cannot rest on blessed abundance. You got to say, look, we got to fight. The fight in many ways is just beginning. You think Donald Trump said November 5th we won and now it's over? Now we just coast? You think he's coasting? You think you think anybody on the Republican side are sitting around? Maybe some of them are. I about flipped when Mark Davis said that to me this morning. Well, I feel pretty good about Florida. We're okay there. No, can't say that. It's not over till it's over. These are the Democrats, don't you know? Don't take that for granted. One open line, 800-655-MIKE.
For full shows, live and on demand, it's Salem News Channel.